Activated.
Analyzing.
Update complete.
Hey guys, want a chance to win an Eagle Moss Galaxy-Class collectible? Stay tuned to find out how. The Galaxy-Class Starship is a vessel of extreme contradiction. A ship meant for scientific research, exploration, and peace, was also one of the most heavily armed vessels of its era. It was interesting to me to discover that the ship's initial concept began in or around 2350. Taking a look at the history of the Federation and the Galaxy, it's likely that we see the advanced systems created for the ship, including its defensive systems, as a response to the Cardassian border wars. At this point in history, the Cardassian border wars would be somewhere in the middle of extreme hostility and untenable peace. The Galaxy-Class was considered to be one of the most complicated ships in the fleet. The subsystems of the vessel, again the most advanced the Federation had to offer for the time, had been tested on multiple other vessels, including the Oberth and Ambassador-class ships. While not in canon, it's likely the armor of the Galaxy-Class vessel was the exact same as the Oberth, explaining how they both could be destroyed by 100-year-old birds of prey. Just saying. The Galaxy-Class continues to reinforce my belief that the Federation was extremely efficient in establishing the concept of a ship, building it, and launching it. Canon actually suggests that from concept to realization of the Galaxy-Class, it only took about 3 years. Possibly less. In fact, critical systems were only finalized on the Enterprise a year before we first see it in Encounter at Farpoint. The Galaxy-Class was a product of its era, not made with the consideration of war. Well, mostly. Its designs made it an easy target. But even with its design flaws, the ship would be able to explore the outer reaches of Federation space in relative safety. It would be one of the most prominently known ships for first contact, and while never stated in canon directly, given the prolific status of the vessel, it's probable the ship was a symbol of hope and exploration throughout the Federation. Though, it would also become the symbol of Federation inadequacy as the Dominion would destroy the USS Odyssey during an attempted rescue of Benjamin Sisko. As has been stated, the Galaxy-Class was one of the more powerful ships of the Federation, but it really wasn't a ship of war. When the ship was put up against an empire that had at least as much, if not more, resources than the Federation, the Galaxy-Class would come up wanting. I will caveat here for a moment to note that behind the scenes, the show Deep Space Nine was working very hard to stand on its own, often making choices to show that it wasn't just a clone of the Next Generation. Even though this episode came later in the series, I still think that it is possible the choice to destroy a Galaxy-Class ship was to show that this wasn't your grandpa's Trek. Despite its inadequacies, the Galaxy would be refit and be mass-produced throughout the Dominion War. The ship would be involved in most of the major operations, including Operation Return, the First Battle of Chintaka, and the Battle of Cardassia. We begin to see quite a few Galaxy-class ships, both during the war and then even after it. There was even an entire wing of Galaxy-class ships during the Battle of Operation Return, though this was more likely several Galaxy-class ships with support vessels. Mass production would make the Galaxy-class commonplace. Honestly, the later episodes of Deep Space Nine and then in Voyager leads me to believe that the Galaxy-class ship would start to be used like a Miranda-class, which is saying something about the impact of the Dominion on the psyche of Starfleet. The Galaxy-class vessel would share qualities with the Nebula-class vessel. Interestingly, though, it seems to be a common conception that the Nebula-class vessel was a poor man's Galaxy. The theory goes that the Nebula was made for cost-effectiveness and customization, while the Galaxy-class was the prestigious ship of the line. Honestly, there's not a ton of evidence for this. However, it seems consistent when you consider the Miranda-class starship and the Constitution-class ship, and juxtapose their respective roles against that of the Galaxy and Nebula. It would also make sense that the Federation would design a ship that would have qualities of their best vessel, but could be more easily mass-produced and customized. A fun fact, and one that I didn't know about the Galaxy-class, is that it had both space and decks that would be left quote-unquote unfinished. This was so that the Galaxy-class could be customized for its mission. It would fit perfectly with the overall goal of exploration and scientific research as well. The ship could have modules installed and acclimate to whatever was needed, which meant that it is likely that each Galaxy-class was outfitted with different equipment based on the need. No two Galaxy-class ships would ever be exactly alike, which I thought was pretty interesting. The overall design of the ship included the saucer section as the primary hull, and the secondary hull which housed the warp drive and most ship weapons. The ship was designed to allow for saucer separation, and is one of the only ships, if not the only ship, we see actually do this. That's not to say that other ships can't do it, it's just this is the only one we've ever seen actually do it. The rationale for saucer separation would include giving the ability to offload families and non-essential personnel to escape, while the secondary hull would stay back to take on the threat. Additionally, it would allow for the use of other tactics of the ship in combat, and had probable other uses. Also, the saucer section would be able to sustain a planetary landing, or at least sustain a planetary crash landing, whereas the secondary hull would most likely not fare as well. An interesting discussion is that of the saucer warp capability. There's no evidence that the saucer can, on its own, sustain warp speed. However, based on the alpha cannon that we see on screen, it is likely that the warp core of the Galaxy-Class was created in such a way that the warp bubble would be able to be manipulated and expanded to include the saucer section, at least for a small amount of time. This would allow the saucer section to separate from the secondary hull and sustain warp drive. The saucer section could then use this inertia to continue at warp for a small while to make an escape. Pre-Dominion War, the Galaxy-Class would be considered a quote-unquote ship of peace and be outfitted so that Starfleet officers could travel with their families. The Galaxy-Class was one of the first to be specifically designed to complement a civilian populace, and thankfully one of the last. Though, the civilian populace would be put to use as families could assist in departments such as science, barbers, and other things. As stated, most of the ship was designed with both form and comfort due to the civilian population, giving the ship a more relaxed feeling. Behind the scenes, Ronald Moore admitted the concept of having families on board made little sense and was a failed experiment by Starfleet. The writers realized how illogical it was to have, and this is, in their words, kiddies running through the hallways as Picard ordered the ship into battle against threats such as the Borg and anything at the Romulan neutral zone. Given how impressive the Galaxy-Class ship is, there is a lot of information that is still left. I'm going to be turning this into a two-parter, but let me know what you think so far of the ship and its lore. What about the failed experiment of the families? The fact it was basically an apartment complex in space. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Hey guys, want a chance to win a Galaxy-Class model? It's really easy. Comment below and be ready to win. Don't forget to be subscribed and like this video. That's it. It's that easy. Want a Sovereign-class ship? Well, that's easy too. Become a patron for as low as $1 a month. Not only do you get the rewards I offer in Patreon, but you're entered to win. Shout out to Eagle Moss who gave me this ability and to send out these models. Guys, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded.